Hello everyone, I'm recording this brief lesson just in time for CTLS to crash, so hopefully you will get this today so you don't miss out on today's topics. So we're going to review inequalities, so single variable inequalities and graphing those, and then we will solve some at the end. So if we are saying that something is x is less than 4, then we want numbers that will satisfy that equation, that inequality. So numbers that are less than 4 are going to be 3, 2, 1, -1, negative 0.5, and things like that. And we also recognize that 4 is not less than 4. So if we have something like we say 4 is less than 4, that is not true. But if we had something like 3.999, we would say that that is less than 4. That is true. So if we go to 4, we're going to put an open circle because that's our endpoint. And then we want all the numbers that are leading up until that. So all the numbers that are leading up until that are all these numbers on the left-hand side. So we're going to shade here. And we're going to shade all the way up until that circle. And that circle represents 4, but we're not going to include 4. So we're going to leave it open or not filled in. So I call that an open circle. And so this will represent all the numbers like 3.999, all the numbers leading up to 4, but not including 4. So 4 will not satisfy that because it is open. If it was a closed circle, then it would be including 4. So looking at number 2, we have x is greater than or equal to -3. That is going to be, again, all the numbers that are greater than or equal to. So numbers that are greater than -3, we're talking about like -2, -1, 0, 1, 100, 1.5, numbers like that. So what we're looking at is at -3. We have this, and we want all the numbers that are greater than this, so we're going to shade to the right because those numbers are greater. And then we're going to fill in or close this circle at -3, meaning that we do include -3 because -3 is greater than or equal to -3. So that since that is true, we include it. Similar with 0, we want all the numbers greater than 0, so that will be our positive numbers, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if we're here at 0, we are going to shade everything to the right because we want the numbers greater, and we're not going to include 0, so it's going to be an open blank. For number 4, we're at 1. We want the numbers less than that, so it's all the negative numbers or the numbers below 1. And so we're going to shade everything to the left. And since it's equal to, we're going to shade in that circle there. So we have x is less than or equal to -1. Looking at writing inequalities. So writing inequalities, we're going to kind of go in the reverse order. So I always like to have my x on the left side, and then the value where the endpoint or the circle is, in this case is -4 over here. And so we need to figure out, first off, we know it's going to be equal to because it's a closed circle. And then we want all the numbers, so all of these numbers over here are greater than -4. So we're going to say that we want greater than or equal to -4. This can also be written as -4 is less than or equal to x. We don't normally write it that way, but that is not incorrect. But these are the only two options for this problem. Similar to this one on the right side, we're going to say x in our circle is at 2. We want all the numbers to the left, or all of these numbers are less than. So we're going to say less than 2, and we're going to leave it open because there's an open circle. So we're going to leave this just as less than. The bottom left, again, we have x and 0. And so we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all numbers that are greater than 0, so we're going to say greater than, and it's going to be just greater than because that is an open circle, so we have just greater than. Lastly, we're at x and -2, and we want all the numbers less than -2, so we're going to say less than, and since this is a closed circle, we're going to say equal to, so we have x is less than or equal to -2. Now, solving these inequalities and then graphing the solution, we want to follow all of the same solving strategies that we have solved equations. The only difference is if you divide or multiply both sides by a negative, you're going to get a negative. You're going to flip your sign of inequality. That's the only difference. So we're going to treat this the same way. We're going to say we want to get this x by itself. And this +4, we're going to use inverse operations of -4. And so we're going to end up with x is less than 2. Since x is by itself now, we are done. And so we're going to say at 2 we have an open circle, and we're going to shade all the numbers less than that, so it's to the left. So this is your answer, and this is your answer graphed. Similar to this one, we're going to treat it the same way. We're going to, as an equation, we're just going to end up shading at the end. So we're going to say +3. So we're going to get 2x These are going to reduce to 0. We still have greater than or equal to negative 8. And we're going to divide both sides by 2. We are dividing by a positive number, so that is going to keep our sign. The negative 8, we are not dividing by negative 8 on both sides. We are dividing by 2, which is a positive number. So we're still going to get x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So we go to negative 4. We're going to shade all the numbers greater than, and we're going to fill that circle in because it's greater than or equal to. Here we have 2 minus 3x is less than 8. Here we are having, this is a positive 2 on the left side, so we're going to subtract 2 from both sides first. From here we're going to divide both sides by negative 3, and since we are dividing both sides by a negative number, we have to flip our sign of inequality. So we're going to say x is greater than negative 2. So this is a very important step to make sure that you pay attention to, that we flipped our sign because we divided by a negative. That's the only difference with solving equations and inequalities. So we go to negative 2, we have an open circle because it's just greater than, and we're shading the greater than numbers, which is everything to the right. Lastly, we have this one, which looks a little bit complicated, but if you take your solving strategies the same way that we have always done, then we will end up with the correct result. So we need to move this 1 first. So we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. And then we're going to multiply by 2 on both sides to cancel this or reduce it to 1. And then we're going to subtract 4 to get x is less than 0. So we're going to go to 0, open circle because it's just less than, and less than we're going to shade to the left. So again, this is your solution in inequality format, and then this is your graph. So I hope this helps with solving linear inequalities.